Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to VidaneTV for one final time this winter for the TCM special events. Round 13 out of 13 here for the All-Star Showcase. Looks like 18 drivers showing up for the green flag here tonight. 250 big ones on the board here at Oxford Plains Speedway, the virtual Oxford Plains Speedway. Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr. up here in the broadcast booth, and alongside me here tonight, coming back for a second time in a couple of days, it seems like. Regan, how we doing tonight?
Yeah, glad to be back on here with you here on VidaneTV to wrap up this 24-25 TCM special event season. No better place than to wrap it all up here with this season finale, championship finale at the virtual Oxford Plains Speedway. Essentially kind of our version of a Oxford 250. So certainly looking forward to it with the cars and stars, the best drivers from this season up to this point.
Kind of a who's who here in the sim racing world along the eastern seaboard, as it were. Everybody getting lined up here. Random start, random qualify here this evening for the start of this one, except for our championship point leaders. We'll get to them in just a second, but we'll take a peek at that starting grid as we wait for everybody to get down there. How about that one car? Ryan Messer going to roll off P1. Riley Frost there in the 52 car going to roll off on the outside of row number 1. Noel Fougere, Larry Pace going to round up row number 2, and the front 6 drivers rounded out by Jared Sloan-White and Nathan Langell in the number 3 car. Ben Ryan, Brandon Langell in the 218 and the 026. They're going to run in 7th and 8th. Dylan Black, Mike Rhino, Josh Langell, and Nick Potier are going to round out the second six-pack of drivers. You can see the rest of the field going through the screen. Everybody lined up behind that pace car, 2 by 2, with the lights out on that iRacing pace car. JJ McPhee, Dave Horton, Jonathan Platt, Tanton Woolridge, Brett Byron, Brandon Campbell, rounding out the 18-car field here tonight. No qualifying, no heat races, random start, and those front 3 in the point standings, well, they're going to start in the back of the pack, taking a little back to the front challenge. Tanton Woolridge, Brandon Campbell, and Brett Byron, the top 3 in points coming into this one. Green flag flies for the very first time here at Oxford Plains.
Jared Sloan-White, Riley Frost leading the field of green. Sloan-White has cleared the way up front for that top spot. He is going to lead lap number 1 in this All-Star Showcase. Ben Ryan going to try and look to take second place here on the inside over Riley Frost, and he is indeed going to do so. Again, the inside line is really preferable at a track like this, the 3/8 of a mile oval, or essentially almost a circle here at the virtual Oxford Plains Speedway. The inside line is especially going to be key to make your passes up towards the front. If you're on that high line, especially in a couple of jammed up packs and such, you're really going to be at a disadvantage and fall back.
Very similar to a Waterford Speed Bowl that we have here in Connecticut, as we're side by side for the lead. Ben Ryan in the 218, Jared Sloan-White in the 29. The 29 going to slide back to that second spot. Riley Frost has a great seat for that. He's running in third. He's under attack, though, by the 08 car. New paint scheme there for the 08 car. New pit crew uniforms down there as well. We'll see if we get some pit stops later on. Take a peek at that. Front 4 almost single file. Now front 3 single file. Is Josh Langell in the 18 going to take a peek down low and try and take over P4 from the 08?
Top 3 single file, a couple of battles from 4th on back. That would include Josh Langell in the 18 clearing the way over the 08.
And these drivers know
Josh Langell and then Nathan Langell, excuse me.
Hard to keep up here at Oxford Plains. They get around here pretty quick. They were busting off some pretty quick lap times here in the final happy half-hour practice, as it were. A little bit of a wiggle there for Mike Rhino in the 34 car down on the bottom side. And one of the things we saw here, we saw some late models run on Oxford, on VidaneTV within the past week here, and we did notice within like 30-40 laps here on the sim here in iRacing, the tires start to wear off in a big way. A little bit of a wiggle there for the 08 car once again up on the top side. So that's going to be something we're really going to have to keep an eye on as this one gets down into it. They do have a couple of extra sets of tires down on pit road if they do want to take it, but we talk about it every time we come here. The pit road here is treacherous. There's a lot of different angles to get into it. There's an inside pit road. There's one that kind of goes squiggly. Really tough to kind of keep track of, especially if you end up getting a green flag pit stop.
And that's going to be huge, especially for our top 3 drivers in the championship points. Again, as we were talking about earlier, all 3 of them chose to go to the back and gain an extra 10 points each in the championship standings. And Tant Woolridge, Brett Beeren, and Brandon Campbell, who have already made their way up a couple of spots towards the back of the field. Of course, there are those extra tire sets for each and every one of them. But of course, tire wear is key. You don't want to try and get up to the front too quickly. You want to try and keep your car stable and conservative all the way to the end of the checker flight. Again, 250 laps, got 240 hours so remaining in this one. Still plenty of time to make things happen. And again, to only 18 cars here tonight at the virtual Oxford Plains Speedway. So again, lots of time, but you got to make sure you stay key and conservative for some time, at least for the time being.
And you can see throughout the field, everybody chasing down Ben Ryan, single file throughout the entirety of this one. We even had those top 3 championship drivers. They're still running together nose to tail towards the back of the pack. So they've got some ground to make up. Jermaine mentioned long race, long way to go, long time to get there, as there's 237 laps to go here at Oxford Plains. And I've made mention a couple of times, I've been doing a lot of real race car hunting and chasing down different racetracks. Oxford Plains is one of the racetracks I think I want to try and get to this year.
Yeah, certainly Oxford 250 is always a bucket list race for everybody, especially on the East Coast, whether you're in Canada or you are in the state of Maine or somewhere close within that realm, around that area. And certainly we're witnessing kind of an iRacing version of that here. Like, of course, we're dealing with this virtually right now, but everybody would love to get to this track in real life, especially, as you're saying.
Yeah, we're live all over the internet here, as that graphic has been running for the entirety of the broadcast so far. So we're going to go ahead and take that graphic right on down there. We're just excited. We got some new graphics for the social media stuff. But we're live on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter. We're live on Facebook as well for VidaneTV and Tim's Corner Motorsports. Appreciate the likes, the subscribes, the shares, all that good stuff. You can see Ryan Messer coming off a pit road, 17 laps down. Gotta wonder, Regan, if that's got something to do with the internet connection he's been fighting in that one camp.
Certainly not ideal for the Easy Clean Super Late Model Series competitor on the real life tracks here within the Maritimes. Who knows, maybe a couple of miracles later on in the race, he could somehow be able to pull himself back into contention for this all-star showcase. As looking through the entire field here, pretty much everybody's single file early on in this race. Ben Ryan continuing to pioneer the field. Again, I go back to Jim Hallahan 333 a couple weeks back, where there was kind of that hope for about, like, up until maybe 50 or 60 laps to go, like everybody was kind of making it there towards the end, and then everything started to blow up, which is kind of what I'm anticipating it a little bit personally here with this race. Keep the finger, as I say that, completely bad timing as the car goes around, almost around towards the back, but an incredible save by Riley Frost, contact in third place.
You know,
I should never speak ever again.
You know, I was going to say it doesn't technically count as a commentator's curse because the caution flag didn't come out. And as I say that, watch somebody else wreck to bring the yellow flag out. But some heads-up driving by the field, and a tough break for Riley Frost. Going to find himself back in 9th position, and that's going to scuff those tires up. And we were just talking about trying to save tires for the entirety of this one, especially with the pit road here at Oxford Plains. It's going to be treacherous down there trying to get 4 tires changed rather than 2.
See Tant Woolridge towards the back, making up a couple more spots on that inside line, trying to get away from those 2 other drivers that he is fighting for the championship. Oh yeah, there's Brandon Campbell. I was looking for him. He's in back of Aaron and Woolridge towards the back. Woolridge has made his way up to the 10th position, so quite the start here for the number 56. Again, the real-life Legends and Pro Stock competitor.
No stranger to iRacing there as well in that 56 car. He's in the championship hunt for the RBR Series, the RBR Maritime Series Season 8 Championship. He and Ryan Messer were going at it in their final race of the season, and we made mention just a few laps ago that Ryan Messer had some Wi-Fi issues. You have the real-life electrical issues in the car. Well, yeah, hey, you get them on the computer sometimes as well. So Tant Woolridge wanted to win that championship, but he wanted to win it the right way, and he wanted to beat Messer square up. So those guys are going to be running a little bit of a shootout race this month coming up. It's going to be Tuesday, January 28th. That's going to be a whole lot of fun to chase those 2 drivers down and see who's going to come home with that championship. And And you can see Tanton Woolridge doing everything he can. He's just into the top 10 right now, running in that 10th position. He's got some breathing room in behind him, but he's got some work to do if he's going to make any kind of forward progress here with 222 laps to go.
Yeah, great to see the commitment and the dedication he's been putting into iRacing, of course, during the off-season for real-life racing here within the Maritimes. And might as well mention another fact, too, related to the TCM All-Star Showcase. He won this race back in 2023 at Langley Speedway, so he'd like to go for a second All-Star Showcase victory within 3 years. And again, being in 10th right there, trying to be a hard charger after electing to go to the back to gain those extra championship points. Man, oh man, is he ever on a run thus far early in this one, and yet there's still plenty more time left in this 250.
Especially when the guys that are chasing him for the championship are behind him. He doesn't have to worry about getting up and trying to pass anybody up in the front. He can just concentrate on picking off cars. You can see that blue 456 car starting to close in now in the back bumper of that 52 O'Reilly Frost. We saw him get skated on back from the top 3 earlier on, about 10-15 laps ago or so. You got to wonder if those 52 tires are starting to wear just a little bit.
Yes, indeed. Again, as I said, still plenty of time for them to catch up and make things happen. You never know when a caution could come out, and everybody kind of goes back and forth between spots throughout this field. And as everybody continues to cycle here around through the virtual Oxford Plains Speedway, trying to wound down the laps now at almost 215 laps remaining in this 6th annual TCM All-Star Showcase. Looking here in the Facebook chat, Brent Patterson's tuned in. We got Ty McCory, definitely one of the fan favorite employees, quote unquote, at Worcesterbed Speedway on PEI. Got Ricky Miller, a former Worcesterbed Speedway Honda Outlaw champion, and Freddie Bannister mentioning something you were talking about, a bucket list goal of yours to go to Oxford Plains Speedway. He pointed out, don't forget the IWK 250 that you also have to come over for Riverside International Speedway in mid-July.
That may already actually be on the go. We're hoping to get up there for the IWK 250 as well as the Riverglade event up there. Don't have anything penned in just yet, but that's 2 weeks I want to get up there for sure. And go trouble!
Oh, trouble!
Big trouble
Yep,
for the 08 car. He gathered it right back up though. Great save by Dylan Black. I think he only lost maybe a spot, but we're going to throw a caution, and it'll give us an opportunity to take a peek at it here on the U-House Racing Designs Instant Replay. We'll back it up. We'll take a peek at the blimp. Backed it up about a half a lap or so. Oh, you can see the 08 checked up just a little bit because the 29 got loose. The 54 didn't see the checkup, it looks like. Right into the back of the 08 at Dylan Black. Heads up driving, though. Lost a spot, maybe a spot and a half if Tanton. Nope, the yellow must already. Only lost a spot. 360, grabbed the gear, got going once again. Heads up driving there by the 08.
Yeah, great racecraft right there. Hopefully not too much damage for him after that incident down the back straightaway. That's our first yellow flag here of tonight's TCM All-Star Showcase. Again, it still continues to be Ben Ryan up front leading the charge. Josh Langell, Nathan Langell, the two Langells out of the Maritime League of Legends Tour here in the Maritimes and also Scotia Speed Worlds Legends Division. Second and third, Mike Rhino, Larry Pace rounding out the top 5 thus far. You can see Tanton Woolridge back there in 9th. The top driver for our top 3 in championship points, trying to go for a TCM Special Events title. Brad Beeren all the way back in 13th, and then Brandon Campbell in 15th. So that's the rundown of the top 3 in current championship points.
I just noticed they've got the school buses parked back there in the back parking lot there. How cool would it be if iRacing would scan some school buses?
Get those UPS haulers maybe getting back from those old NASCAR games too, I'd say.
Oh, there you go. Yep. We want to run the truck. People love the truck.
Yeah, the trucks, school buses, whatever you can, whatever you can do to try to add some more fun to iRacing.
Yeah, some stacker cars. What else do they run at the Freedom Factory? Doubling up behind the pace car. Lights are out once again. Taking a quick peek. 16 drivers on the lead lap. Ryan Messer going to get one of those laps back with the free pass. Still 16 laps down for the number 1 car. Everybody else still on the lead lap. They're going to be chasing down that 18 car. Josh Langell elects to choose the bottom side, it looks like. Ben Ryan going to be on the top. Nope, I had that backwards. 18's up on the top side. Green flag flies. Mike Ryan, Nathan Langell, and Larry Pace, the top 5 as they run. And there they go. The 16 car down and around. That's going to bring out the caution right off the rip. We'll get it slowed down on the restart here. Focus in on that 16 Napa car. I believe that was the first one that got around. Gets into the back bumper there of the 218 as he gets going. Spins just a little bit. 50 goes low to try and avoid it. Everything looks a-okay there until the 16 comes on down over the nose of the 50, and hilarity ensues. 54 gets a piece of the action. Everybody else does a great job parting the seas, as it were, and getting down and around. So almost a no harm, no foul, but going to be tough to kind of come back from that one.
Funny enough, that was a similar pattern we saw back in the Jim Hallahan 333 at the Virtual Bristol Motor Speedway, where we had a lot of those wrecks early or in the middle portion of the race, where one or two cars would get together and it would look like about half the field was going to be collected and eliminated, potentially eliminated from the race. But a lot of these guys really showed off some good racecraft in that one, and in that one there as well. Of course, there was, that one car that made unfortunate contact, but from there, everybody's remaining relatively stable at the moment. Again, there's still over 200 laps to go.
Yeah, still early in this one. Mets are going to get another lap back to 14 laps down for the number one car. See what goes down here. I hope we don't have 14 more cautions, but it would be good for the one car. It would get him back on the lead lap.
Yeah, again, who knows? Maybe some miracles will fall into the laps of the number one of Ryan Messer. 15 laps down, almost 200 laps to go. Everybody double file down the backstretch into 3 and 4, and we're going to be going green once again.
Making that hard left-hand turn to the safety of pit road. Big wiggle there from the 34 of Mike Rhino. They gather it back up, though. Front three able to just about get single file. Jared Slotwhite trying to make that top side work, but as you get a little bit of heat in these tires, that high side goes away very, very quickly.
And Ryan had a fantastic restart there, clearing his way ahead of Josh Langell and Mike Rhino for that first position. And again, he just continues to dominate this one. Again, we saw that dominance back in the Jim Hallahan 333 from one driver, and then it just kind of fell off from there. So Ben Ryan's looking to kind of turn that around and hopefully become the driver to make it from the start to the finish as the dominant force.
And you saw the 18 car get right up to the back bumper of the 218 and then backed up just a little bit. You can almost see him kind of creeping back up here on the back bumper. It's like Langell's trying to kind of time out how long it's going to take to get to the back bumper, how many laps or how many straightaways, because you can see he gets right up close to it and then he kind of backs up just a little bit more. And you can see the front 10 or so drivers single file once again. And into the top 5 is that blue 56 car, Tanton Woolridge. He's going to win this championship by doing what he needs to do, winning this race, it looks like.
Yeah, Brett Bieren's all the way back in 10th, Brandon Campbell in 14th. Again, still plenty of time for them to make things happen, but Tanton Woolridge making a statement here as your points leader, trying to go for that championship, and again, go for yet another TCM All-Star Showcase victory to add to his TCM Special Events resume. Just making it look easy every single lap.
Yeah, you get into a bit of a rhythm here at Oxford Plain. You made mention earlier on in the show that these guys they're almost always turning all the way around. We run on board with Josh Langell, the second place driver in the 18, and it's a full circle all the way around this place. Very similar to, like I was saying earlier, Waterford Speed Bowl here in Connecticut. There's no real straightaway. You're just always on that wheel.
Yep, that's the main characteristic here at the Virtual Oxford Plain Speedway. It's all about turning the car pretty much the entire time, and quite frankly, trying to get that acceleration too. It's just, you got to have that key timing with the wheel and both the accelerator and the brakes all around this 3/8 of a mile track in Maine. And going back to the point again at Tanton Woolridge, I mean, trying to kind of get some revenge in a sense back from Bristol Motor Speedway when he was right there in contention for the win after leading 76 laps. But then Chris McKenna came out of nowhere and shocked everybody with a big victory in the Jim Hallahan 333 with an incredible fuel and tire strategy. And then Woolridge was the last car on the lead lap in the Gen 6 race at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, finishing 17th out of 30 cars. So certainly looking to cap off the season here with a victory and also a championship as well, especially coming off of some of his recent results.
Yeah, and we've seen strange things happen in the world of iRacing, especially here on VidaneTV. And what's wild is you can catch each and every one of those shows on demand over on our YouTube page. That's over 600, over 700 live broadcasts that we've done over the past 4 or 5 years. A lot of them for Tim's Corner Motorsports and other various leagues as well. And it's just crazy to think we've grown so much over the past couple of years. We got to thank everybody for tuning in and helping us grow each and every night. All the likes, the subscribes, the shares, all that good stuff on the social media really helps us out in a big way, and it's going to make 2025 a massive year. We've got so much cool stuff on the go, in the works, as it were, here for sim racing and real racing, and some real wrestling and some fight stuff. And well, now I'm starting to turn the page a little bit too much, but there's a lot on the go here at VidaneTV for the 2025 calendar year. Be sure to follow along on all of the socials. We're even over on the Instagram now. If you do a quick search for VidaneTV, it pops right on up, and we're going to get some sim racing content. We're going to get some real racing content over there and really start kind of building a little bit more of a name for ourselves, I think we can say wholeheartedly here at VidaneTV. But got to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, and each and every night, all the support here at VidaneTV means a lot here to us, and you ain't seen nothing yet. We've got a lot of stuff on the works.
Certainly, especially being in the booth here for the second time here with you and VidaneTV. It's certainly been a pleasure. Fantastic broadcast here within the booth. And yeah, recently I tuned into the ending of that truck series race at Myrtle Beach, I believe it was, that battle there for the win between Brent Roy and Ryan Messer. That was wicked to witness.
Yeah, the NEP Super Truck Series. Those guys are doing some crazy battles. All those guys, most of the drivers in that league are actually going to be running the iRacing Daytona 24-hour race this weekend. I know there's a lot of drivers that are up in the mix with the TCM ranks as well that are going to be running that race. We're going to try and do a little bit of the coverage from the virtual Daytona. We've never done anything like that before. I know there's been some networks that have done it in the past where I don't know if we're going to do the full 24-hour broadcast. I would like to. I don't know if there's enough caffeine. I don't know if it's healthy for me to take that much caffeine, but we're definitely, I think we're going to do something with the Daytona 24, and it's always kind of cool to see those Thursday night truck guys, very similar to a lot of the drivers and the names that you see here on the TCM special events. They race late models and they work on late models in real life, so they're able to kind of bring their real paint schemes to the iRacing trucks or even the 24-hour cars that have a little bit of a mixture of all 3 or 4 or everybody on the team. They kind of threw bits and pieces of their late models into their 24-hour cars. So it's a lot of fun. It's going to be neat, and still trying to put together the logistics, but I think we're going to do something special this weekend from Daytona.
Absolutely great to hear all of that. And looking back here on the racetrack, I've been seeing within these last couple of laps, Josh Langell has been right on the back bumper of Ben Ryan for quite some time now. He's just trying to find that slight opening on the inside, trying to dip his nose underneath and finally find a way to get past Ben Ryan to lead a couple of laps himself here in the TCM All-Star Showcase. Quite the battle going on for the lead in the Catbird C. Mike Rhino and then Nick Pothier third and fourth, just waiting for something to happen. Pothier with a bit of front-end damage, of course, earlier from that incident earlier on the back straightaway, but things are starting to ramp up a little bit here up front as the laps continue to wound down pretty quickly here at Oxford Plains. I thought I heard a car squealing there for a second.
It might have just been these tires starting to let go. 73 laps into this run. Looks like we're running about a half second slower from when we started. The Ben Ryan quick time, 15.757. Last time by ran a 16.298. So not much slower, a little bit slower, definitely noticeable here. I would definitely say if we were to get a caution, we'd get at least most of the field to come down for 2 tires. I would try and get 4, but I don't know if you can do it without losing a lap here at Oxford.
Seeing on a couple of these laps here, particularly for Ben Ryan, using that heavily going down to the inside here in the corners, doing a bit of the outside straightaways and then dipping down to the inside, entering the corners, trying to get that better runoff there compared to Langeau's. For a couple laps there, he was just sticking it to the inside the entire time, but nonetheless, between the different kind of grooves and different adjustments these drivers are making over these couple of laps. Langell has been right on his rear bumper for a long time now.
Getting a little bit tight back here in the second half of the top 10. You can see that 16 Napa car, great recovery for him up in the, I believe that's the third place. As you can see, the 094 there, JJ McPhee in 8th, Larry Pace in the 50 there in 9th. Brett Byron making his way into the top 10. Still has to chase down Tanton Woldridge, though, because he's up in that 5th position. And even further on back, Jaron Slonwhite on the outside looking in here in the top 10. He's in 11th. Jonathan Platt behind him. Brandon Langell in the 026.
For the lead. For the lead.
Back up front. Good eye. Josh Langell gets down and around Ben Ryan. Takes over that lead spot.
Trying to look back here on a replay, at least from my perspective, to see if anything had happened. Maybe there was contact or something, but it looks like Ryan just kind of entered the turn 3 a little bit weirdly, and Langell dove it down to the inside. I was talking earlier, trying to find that eventual opening that Ryan could at some point end up giving up, intentionally or not. And what do you know, that finally happened. Now Josh Langell is your leader in the 6th annual TCM All-Star Showcase.
And that shows a lot of patience out of the driver of the 18 car. You made mention he was down on the bottom side of that racetrack, peeking every single lap, every single corner, waiting for that one little slip up, that one little mistake, and able to capitalize. Puts him in the lead with 168 laps to go here at the virtual Oxford Plains. Front 4 have pulled away by just a little bit. Your championship leaders running P5 right now for Tanton Woldridge.
And I was going to say, with those top 2 just duking it out there, a couple of moments of contact, it's helped Mike Rhino and Nick Pothier start to catch up and make it a 4-car battle, almost like a pack for the lead there. Tan Woolridge, Dylan Black are not too far behind in case these 4 start to get together a little bit more, start to go bumper to bumper, door to door within the next couple of laps.
And that's one of the things that's really going to add up for these drivers. They've spent the last 20 or 30 laps brawling with just one other car. Now all of a sudden there's 2 more that are going to enter the fight, and we're going to have a fatal 4-way for the lead here very, very shortly. And now, rather than following the one car, maybe out the windshield or out the left-hand window, you've got to keep your head on a swivel and see cars all the way around the racetrack. So going to get spicy here for these drivers up in the top 4, and that's exactly what these guys just outside the top 4. Tanton Woldridge there in 5th. Dylan Black in the 08 car is there as well. Nathan Langell in that Napa 16. He's right up close to the mix as well. So if they get slicing and dicing up in this top 4, we may bring in maybe bring in some more race cars to the party.
You can kind of tell Woolridge and Black are just ever so slightly beginning to catch up and make it a 6-car battle for the lead. Nathan Langell not too far behind in there. Again, remember that been the contact on that previous restart. He did get hit by one other car, but he has been able to keep going as if nothing had ever happened some time ago. Could become a 7-car battle for the lead eventually.
Yeah, Nathan Langell slowly making a move towards the top 5, little side-by-side action. Mike Rhino on the 34 going to go up top. The 54 going to take a peek down on the bottom side and take over that 3rd position. It's 54 on the screen. It's Nick Pothier on the timing and scoring, being scored as the 4 car, as we've got him on track running in the 3rd position. He's going to try and chase down those top 2 now. You can see he's pulled away from Mike Rhino by a car length or 2.
Indeed, and Pothier took advantage of that inside line that opened up. The exact same situation that we saw between Ben Ryan and Josh Langell, the 18. Moving right down, and finally that opening was right there for him, and he took advantage. And then the same happened here between these 2 cars for 3rd and 4th. And then the other Langell starting to catch up to Black and Woolridge to get within the top 5.
You can almost tell that 16 car, the Napa ride, smells blood in the water, because he closed right up on the back bumper of Dylan Black, and I think he sees he's getting close to the back bumper of Tanton Woldridge up in front of him, so they might be getting a little side-by-side here shortly as they're getting spicy for the lead once again. Dylan Langell's probably gotten his bumper tapped 2 or 3 times by Ben Ryan in the back in the 2nd position.
And there we go. Nathan Langell moves up a spot now over Dylan Black. Next up, he's got your championship points leader, Tanton Woolridge, up next. Again, inching his way closer to the top 5. That's now 6th place for the number 16 Napa Auto Parts Super Late model.
And you can see Mike Rhino in the 34 car sliding up the racetrack just a little bit. You saw that back of the race car kind of get a little bit sideways coming into the corner. Tanton Woldridge right on the back bumper. He's going to take a peek down on the bottom side. He's going to kick that door open and try to keep it there, door handle to door handle as they get into the corner. I think that 56 car plus one more spot, move that Tanton Woldridge ride into fourth.
Well, there's contact there between the 34 and the 16 in behind Woolridge. That's going to help the 56 start to get away and try to catch up to the top three, who are now in a pack of their own away from the rest of the field. Again, Ben Ryan, Josh Langell, and Nick Pothier doing battle for the TCM All-Star Showcase.
Take a quick peek at the three-way dance for the lead right now. Josh Langell holding on to it. Ben Ryan, Nick Pothier up in the top three. They've pulled away by quite a bit now. Tanton Woldridge in that fourth position. Mike Rhino right behind him. But for how long? Nathan Langell going to take a peek down low. Take that 16 Napa car, move him up +1.
Langell to the inside. He's going to take up another spot there into the top five. He goes at the line. Wow, there was sideways action there from Mike Rhino, who now drops in back of Dylan Black there.
You can almost start to see some of these drivers that are kind of running that middle to high groove. The rubber balls, there's a great shot there under the flag stand. There's a lot of rubber debris from these tires and from practice here earlier on as well. Some of these drivers that are kind of getting up in that high line are really getting squirrely. The 34, Mike Rhino, you'll see potentially as he comes out of four this time by, just really gets sideways in that back end. Looked okay that time by, but definitely something we want to keep an eye on as these tires wear out more and more.
That's just one of the many factors taken into play here with how the action has started to ramp up. Of course, the marbles have been really screwing around with drivers from the middle to high grooves, but at the same time, too, you can tell as this race has been winding down pretty quickly, the drivers know it. They want to take advantage and get up to the front now as soon as possible and be there just in case, let's say we get a couple of cautions here towards the end. You can be up front and still have a chance to contend for a win. Let's say if trouble happens behind them. But in saying that, hopefully there's no issues that happen around them or in front of them.
Mike Rhino still struggling with that 34 car, stuck on the high side. The 94 car of JJ McPhee, Larry Pace in the 50 car, going to get down and around. There's Ryan Messer, the one car, still 14 laps down in that ride. Brett Byron in the 22 car into the top 10. He's going to get around Mike Rhino for a position here as well. Rhino doing everything he can to try and get that 34 car down on the bottom of the racetrack.
That's going to be huge here for Brett Byron trying to make his way up through the field. Again, still plenty of time, but Tanton Woolridge, though, up front there and trying to go for the win, inching closer and closer to that victory. Meanwhile, the 22, Byron, and then Brandon Campbell just hasn't been having the night that he's wanted to have all the way back in 14th place. He can only hope for a couple of miracles to occur here late in this All-Star Showcase. Top three still getting away from the rest of the field, although, as I say that, actually, Woolridge is starting to close in just a little bit.
And Woolridge is really in the catbird seat at this point. We can ride on board in that 56 car. We can kind of see, well, we can definitely see. He's able to see the top three drivers, what line they're running, who's going to be able to pull away, who's kind of getting woed up just a little bit, who's loose and everything. So Tanton's doing his homework right now. You can see really closes the gap this time by. He's doing everything he can to try and process all this information, all these inputs from these drivers on the racetrack, and he's going to make his move here relatively soon, I think. Working lap 110 as they cross the stripe, just getting closer and closer to that halfway marker here at Oxford.
Seeing here in the TCM Facebook stream comments, Stephen Rose talking about, he says he loves how clean this is. Stephen, I said the exact same thing at Bristol a couple weeks back, and that completely backfired, so hopefully this time around, what you said is not a jinx.
We've seen cautions breed cautions here before, and so far, been relatively clean. Couple of minor incidences early on in this one. Had 18 starters, still 17 out on track. Ryan Messer having some connection issues earlier on. He's currently scored 14 laps down, but everybody else still on the lead lap and still in contention. They just got to get around that 18 car. Josh Langell's led a bunch of laps here tonight, as has Ben Ryan. Nick Pothier's been up in the top five all night long, and Tanton Woolridge been the story of the night so far. That 56 car coming from the back all the way up to P4, and he's got Nathan Langell in behind him to round out the top five as they run.
Langell, I'd say about a car length and a half, maybe 2 car lengths ahead of Ben Ryan, just trying to pull that gap in between them a little further as these laps wound down. But Ryan trying to make sure he doesn't get away again. He led a bunch of laps earlier on in this TCM All-Star Showcase. And then Nick Pothier, again, still right in back behind, waiting for something to happen with those top two potentially. And then Tan Woolrich, the hard charger, maintaining himself in fourth. Nathan Langell trying to do his best to catch up as well, but he's got Dylan Black almost on his back bumper.
And you can almost feel as these drivers are all running single file. We're 116 laps into this run. The cars are getting a little bit slower, 6-7 tenths of a second slower than where they were on a fresh set of tires. So that's going to be something else that once these drivers, if they do come down, well, they are going to have to come down at one point or another for fuel, I would imagine, 250 laps here at Oxford. But once they do get the brand new rubbers on these cars, they're going to handle a little bit differently than what they've been fighting here. So we kind of saw it at the 333 here at Bristol just recently, where we get new tires, we get a little bit squirrely, we get to feeling like Superman just a little bit, and well, the car goes on around. So gonna have to keep an eye on that one, but right now still going strong. 132 laps to go here as we cross the stripe.
And when that does eventually happen, that is going to change the name of the game entirely here at Oxford Plains. As on my screen, Josh Langell just had a disappearing moment, then completely returns back. That's the good old iRacing service for you.
It's one of those things, we say it all the time as Tan Woolrich closed that gap. There's no more gap. Tan Woolrich is there. He's on the back bumper now of the 54 car. And we say it all the time in real racing. You've got electrical demons that can mess with the race car, mess with your equipment, your radios, your communication, whatever it could be. You've got that in iRacing too. Wi-Fi could go down, power issues, and every once in a while we'll see a little bit of a blink like we saw with the 18 car. But he's able to pull away, it looks like, by a couple of car lengths. And second, third, and fourth, they are getting really, really tight. A little bit of a battle for fifth on behind, as well as the 16 Napa car trying to hold off the 08 of Dylan Black.
Yeah, you could essentially put a blanket over these cars from second through fourth, as it looks like Dave Horton has gone off the track on the inside in turn number 4.
It looks like he got it down to the entry at pit road, looking for a tow truck, potentially to drive it into the pits, it looks like, hopefully. We'll check back in. Yeah. We'll check back in here momentarily.
He just got himself, I think, stuck on the same. Oh no.
I'm sure he's fine. Everything's fine.
Oh, he's back in the box. He's back in his pit box.
All right. Yeah, we got the tow truck out there. We're good. But with all of that going on, look at the gap now that Josh Langell's been able to put on second place, 6, almost 7 tenths of a second, just really able to kind of put the afterburners on just a little bit. Nick Pothier in the third position, trying to take over second. Tan Woolrich right there in fourth, trying to take over third.
I think if you can kind of tell that Pothier might just be having a little bit more speed there and good corner abilities compared to Ben Ryan. He's been looking back and forth from the outside to the inside all over him, especially in the corners in particular, and that has helped Josh Langell start to pull away just a little tiny bit every single lap.
And you can still see it's those front 4 and then 3 cars from 5th, 6th, and 7th. You've got Ryan Messer in the mix there as well, albeit he is 15 laps down. Dave Horton in the 73 car is 7 laps down. Jared Slonwhite in the 29, he's going to park down in the garage area as well. Looks like Mike Reno in the 34 car, currently the last car on the lead lap, and you can just barely see him there on the left-hand side of your screen in front of the leader, Dylan Langell, holy moly. Shout out to Dylan Langell. As they're chasing down our leader, Josh Langell in the 18 car.
Now, to be fair, Riverside International Speedway did recently announce they were looking for interest in potentially returning enduros to the track. Dylan Langell, enduros, demo derby, whatever may be, he has a history of that, if I recall correctly. So
yeah, I think
he does return to a race car. Who knows?
I remember that there was a minivan that had a serpentine belt or something or other that was an issue.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Josh Langell not having any issues here tonight, though. He is pulled away, still about 7/10 of a second lead over Ben Ryan, who led a bunch of laps earlier on, slid back to that second spot, hasn't really been able to do much of anything, and he's going to be on the defense here shortly because Nick Pothier is right on his back bumper. As you can see, Tanton Woldridge, he has closed that gap. The 56 car is there, and then you've got a couple of lap cars then between Tanton Woldridge and Nathan Langell in that 16 Napa ride back just a little bit further on back. So a little bit of breathing room in behind him, and he's still trying to get a little bit of work done. He's got 3 more spots to get up to the lead, and I don't know. I think that 56 car's not done climbing the podium here.
As those 3 cars continue to be, again, basically under a blanket between 2nd and 4, Josh Langell has continued to pull away from the rest of the field and lead many more laps here in this TCM All-Star Showcase. And we just a couple laps ago passed officially halfway through this race. Looking back there, and I guess technically you could say the 5th position now, but also technically not. Just a shame that Ryan Messer, with his internet issues, having to start the race late, 17 laps down, somewhere around that count. If that hadn't happened, we could be saying right now that Ryan Messer could be, going for that win again. I believe he was supposed to start the race up front. Now, technically, he'd be back there in 5th at the moment, but no, he is many laps down, so it's very unfortunate to see, but nonetheless, still good to see, too, that he's got good speed and just trying to do his best and kind of end the season on a high note in some capacity.
That's what it's all about. You can see getting around Horton here, and he's keeping right up with these front 4 cars as well. So definitely no stranger to speed in that one car. And he lost. It's got to be 11 o'clock in the morning at the hotel because Josh Langell's checked out. He is over a second lead now in that 18 car, and Nick is in behind him. He's got a little bit of breathing room behind him. Ben Ryan going to slip up just a little bit. I wonder if that's just. I wonder if he's flagging Tanton on and says, you know what, you're probably a little bit quicker. Why don't you try and get those top 2?
I think you've been able to tell over the past couple of laps, Ryan has certainly been struggling, particularly in the corners, and we just now have been seeing that within the last couple of laps now with Nick Pothier moving his way up to the 2nd position. I said a while ago that it seemed like Pothier definitely had a little bit more speed than Ryan did, just couldn't really find his way past that car, but eventually was able to, and now he's gotten a bit far away from Woolridge, and he's starting to close in on the 18 of Josh Langell. As you said, he being checked out. It's not over just yet. He's getting there.
Still plenty of time to go. Sometimes you got to drop those one-liners just to find out which drivers are watching inside the car, which I still think is one of the coolest things ever. Drivers will have the YouTube up on the phone and be watching in, and they'll say, oh, this guy's not doing anything, and then all of a sudden that guy will do a 360 no-scope kickflip, whatever the skateboarding tricks are on the front straightaway. Just to get a little TV time.
That's one way to put it.
But the 54 car doing everything he can to try and catch back up. He's cut a little bit of that lead off, but I think that might be because he looked at his rearview mirror and he saw that light blue 56 car coming. Tanton Woldridge in 3rd, and he's a little bit quicker than, well, it's a similar lap time, 16.5, 16.4 last time by, and a little bit slower than what they were earlier on, but they're still making it work past halfway by quite a bit. 145 laps down, 106 here to go, and they're all still chasing down Josh Langell.
I see here within the iRacing voice chat, Mike Rhino disconnected, which is very unfortunate. Number 34, we saw him running up front consistently throughout this All-Star Showcase, but to see him now officially out is very unfortunate, but that's going to help other drivers now take advantage of a couple of spots and still have a shot here at going for the win. We are very close to 100 laps remaining in this race and the season for the TCM special events. As yeah, some chaos going on back there on the front stretch. Caution. Riley Frost.
Just a little bit. The 13 car doing a great job wrecking right into the pit stall. How about that? But they were beating and banging on each other for 2nd place in the championship. Brett Byron in the 22 and Brandon Campbell in the 8. There you see the 22 just gives a shove to Brandon Campbell up into the outside. They hold on to it. The 22 comes down into the 52. He gets a little squirrely down on the bottom side, and he's going to say, see you later. He's going to go mow the grass. That's a little bit sketchy back here in the second half of the top 10.
And that was around 2 drivers going for the championship. So thank goodness that nothing catastrophic happened to either of those guys. And Riley Frost, maybe not as impressive as Tyler Reddick at Las Vegas, but nonetheless, it's his own way of doing it. Hell of a job.
Feeding time at the zoo, as it were. Everybody is down on pit road. Looks like one driver. Nope, everybody's down on pit road. It's just going to be a matter of 2 tires versus 4 tires, and we'll take a look at timing and scoring momentarily to find out who did what and where. But you can see right now everybody down on pit road for tires and a little bit of the race fuel.
I think I see some guys only took 2 tires. Some 2, some 4.
A little bit of a traffic jam in the exit of pit road, but they get it all squared away. And it looks like, now I may be bad at math, but I think you're right. I think the top 2 may have taken 2 tires. So that'll be Tanton Woolridge and Ben Ryan. And everybody else is up in the 21 to 22 second bracket as far as the pit box goes. So it looks like everybody else took 4 tires. They were slower by about a half a second on 4 old tires. I don't know what the 2 tires is going to do. This is going to be interesting for the final 100 laps.
Yeah, we're going to see some wild tire strategies come to play here in these final 100 laps, or under 100 laps eventually here in this TCM All-Star Showcase at Oxford Plains Speedway. Tan Woolridge is now finally going to have his opportunity to lead the way. And again, too, with the tire wear just kind of falling off on that long green flag run that we had from the previous restart. Again, I said earlier, Woolridge is just making it look easy as anything every single lap, not really running into any issues, passing drivers just fine, never really had a loose or a tight moment. So to him, honestly, 2 tires might not even be that big of a deal.
And keep in mind, he did all that from coming from the back. Started shotgun on the field as the challenge was laid down by the boss man, Tim Terry, earlier on in this one. The top 3 drivers in the championship started in the back, and they were going to try and get themselves some bonus points. Tanton Woolridge is there. He's up front. He's on point. Brendan Campbell, Brett Byron currently scored 11th and 12th. So they got a little work to do. They got a little bit of time to do it, but the clock is indeed ticking.
Ace car goes to pit road. Green flag waves. 97 or 8 laps to go, whatever it updates to. 97, there we go.
Nailed it. Brandon Langell around in that black and purple ride. We stay green, though. Everybody able to get it sorted out here. The race officials letting it eat, as it were. And now we're all chasing down that new leader, Tanton Woolridge. Keep in mind, he's only got the 2 tires. 4 fresh tires for the 18 car of Josh Langell. 2 tires for the 218 of Ben Ryan, and everybody else has 4. So this is going to get interesting. We'll see if Tanton's able to hold off. I feel like if he's able to hold off the 18 for maybe 10, 15 laps or so, kind of let that heat cycle get in there, he might have a chance of holding him off. But man, that 18 car is quick.
And Ben Ryan's actually been leaning on the back of him for a couple of laps now. And again, the top 4 has been recognizable all race long. Tan Woolridge, Josh Langell, Ben Ryan, and Nick Pothier have been contending consistently all night. But look out for the 43 of Jonathan Platt. We haven't been talking about him too much throughout tonight's event, but he's looking to be a bit of an underdog here to try to steal a victory from these top dogs up front. And look no further than Brad Byrne as well. Actually, he's a lap down, so if he can get back on the lead lap, then it would make sense that being up front with these guys would be pretty crucial for him.
And that's one of those tricky things. The pit road here at Oxford Plains is going to be throwing a little bit of a monkey wrench in some of these drivers that took 4 tires, weren't able to get off pit road in front of that pace car, so they got trapped a lap down. Currently 8 drivers on the lead lap, and you can see for the most part, the front 6, they're bumper to bumper, and they're all still trying to chase down Tanton Woolridge in the 56, so a little bit different than what we've seen here tonight, because we've seen whomever would be up in that front position, they kind of pull away a little bit with that clean air, but we're not really seeing that here with 90 to go.
And we've seen how fast this race has been going by. Before you know it, we are going to be at 50 laps to go, 30, 20, 10, 5 laps to go. We're going to get the white flag before we know it. And if if it's a case of these guys duking it out like they are right now, again, burns a blanket almost all over them, then we'll be in for a hell of an ending as Josh Lando got real loose there going into turns 3 and 4. Might have been contact off of Ben Ryan, but they all keep going just fine. As I see in the iRacing voice chat, Ryan Messer has called it a night.
Yeah, tough break for the one car with those connection issues here. 88 laps to go. I was going to say that it definitely looked like there was a little bit of contact between the 18 and the 218. I thought it might have been a little bit too early for that TC3 bump thing there, but I think that first one was just to let Langell know that Ben Ryan, he knows he's got a quick race car in that 218.
Yeah, especially after that long run where he was beginning to struggle and fall back a couple of positions. He's now back in the game. He knows he's got a fast car. He wants to beat some of these other big names like Dan Woolridge and Josh Langell right in front of him, and what a hell of an ending it would be to his campaign here for the 24-25 DCM special event season. But again, remember too, for someone like Tan Woolridge, who hasn't won the All-Star Showcase in a couple of years and still doesn't have a single victory on this current season yet, again, he wants to end off with a win and a championship. He knows he has this opportunity right here. He does not want to give it up or make a single error within these last final 84 laps. Man, oh man, Paul, buckle up. This is going to come down to the wire.
Indeed it is. I've just taken a look at the timing and scoring presented by Wingnut Productions. You can check that out as well. Follow along at home at VidaneTV/scoring. Last time by, those two drivers with the two tires, they were the quickest drivers. 16.021 for Tan Woolridge and an 0.67 for Ben Ryan. So two tires might have been the move of the race. We'll see what happens as far as the wear and tear goes here with 82 laps still on the docket here tonight. Little blinking issue there for the 18 car. That's frustrating for the other drivers as well, because you almost have to guess where he's going to pop back in. So connection issues, I don't want to call it connection issues yet, but a little bit of a blink there from the 18. Kind of scary when you're going around these racetracks these quick.
And that's not the second time tonight where he's had an instance like that in turns 3 and 4 earlier on in tonight's event. And yeah, you're saying about the different tire strategies and all that. You'd think maybe with 4 tires there could be that argument, how are they not much faster? But again, sometimes it's not about the tires, it's about the drivers, their racecraft, and how they're able to handle their race cars and the tire strategies that they decide to do. And again, maybe to that mix of 2 fresh tires and 2 old tires, maybe that combination does end up working out. And again, too, as I said, it's just, it can be about the driver, not the car necessarily.
And these 3 drivers, these 4 drivers up in the front, they have locked in. The 18 car, he's doing that thing where he's right down on the bottom of the racetrack waiting for Tanton Woolridge to make a mistake. All in the meantime, the 218, he's been beating on the back bumper of that 18 car. A little squirrely, a little bit further on back. We hold on to it. But man, these guys are getting closer and closer up towards the front, just waiting for the guy in front to make an error.
Yeah, it's these top 4 continuing to race within a pack together for the win. And one thing I forgot to mention about Jonathan Platt is he and Byron are actually both a lap down. So a little underdog thing I said earlier, hope maybe it could age well if there is a caution or something like that. But you see these 2 lap cars, and then Dylan Black in 5th place is right in behind them. He would love to try and be ahead of them to try and make this a 5-car battle for the win. But again, though, those 2 cars ahead of him at a track like this, as this run continues to go on for longer and longer, especially with the tire wear, it's a very difficult situation. But you know, if there's a caution, maybe he'll be able to take advantage and be able to get up with these top dogs.
And it's one of those things, too, where Ben Ryan is keeping an eye on those points as well. He's going to come in 5th on the night. He has, it looks like he's going to take over 4th, as Riley Duncan was just a couple of points in front of him. He's not in the field here this evening. So Ben Ryan able to move into 4th, has a potential to move up onto the podium if he's able to get more points than Brett Byron, who's in 3rd. And it looks like it's 12, 14, carry the 1, maybe 16 points difference between Ben Ryan and that 3rd place in points. So while these guys running for a championship, running for a lead, running for 4th in points, running for 5th in points, there's races inside of races all over the racetrack. And that's how we do it here at VidaneTV. We're trying to keep up with all of it.
And, you know, that's what makes, you know, certain series and races so special when you have those battles all throughout the point standings. You know, you got your championship battle, you got drivers duking it out in the middle of the standings, maybe towards the back. Having those, you know, having that parity all across the field is truly what makes so many races so intriguing, entertaining, and attracts fan bases.
Absolutely, and it's always fun too when the drivers kind of bring their own thunder. They bring their followings from Twitter and social media and the real racetracks, and they bring kind of real racing fans to the sim racing world, and they get to flaunt their personality a little bit more, and it's always fun to kind of see that. And there's always different racing styles, driving styles as well, and we're seeing that right now. There's 4 completely different driving styles going on in the top 4 for this one. 69 laps to go, 68 once we cross the stripe.
Yeah, certainly these top 4 all each have their own unique racecraft skill sets, mindsets, and we're seeing it all fully on display here at the virtual Oxford Plains Speedway. The only real question is who is going to come out on top, and just based on trends of past races, it maybe over that is actually who's going to come out the luckiest too.
Yeah, a lot of times in these iRacing, especially these long 250, 300 lappers, it almost turns into a war of attrition because you've got drivers that don't necessarily run races this long on a weekly basis. So, the equipment may fall out, you get tired, because I can say I spent about an hour in a micro center down in Charlotte, North Carolina with Tony Stevens, and he can attest to this. I was on the simulator with force feedback for about a half hour. My arms hurt the next day. So this sim racing stuff, it's no joke.
Absolutely. It really can get to you mentally, especially for those long races, 250 laps, 300 laps, or what we had back for the Jim Hallahan 333 laps at Bristol Motor Speedway with the super late model of all cars, where, quite frankly, that combination is not meant to be on the iRacing surface. So, again, as these laps continue to wound down, we are inching closer and closer to 50 laps remaining here in tonight's event. We're going to start to see these drivers really have that attrition, that mental toughness really get at them, and we might see patience start to drop just a little bit, maybe.
A lot less give and a whole lot more take as we get on into the late laps of this one. And the thing that's kind of boggling my mind right now is you've got 4 drivers up in the top 4. I was just going to say that haven't made a mistake in about 50 laps, and there's the 218 with a big old slide. So we might just do a crank it up for the final 62 laps.
Yeah, close call there. The commentator's jinx it seems to keep happening every now and then,
I still blame it on the drivers bringing their phones in the cars, and they heard their name and they looked over. Nope, got to keep you straight here. But still,
yeah, do not text and or look at your phone and drive.
Do not try this at home.
Even in sim racing, don't.
Yeah, right. Oh, that used to frustrate everybody that I used to race with back in the day, because I was really bad for doing the Snapchat while sim racing, and it definitely showed in my driving. But in any sense, these guys putting on a show here for us. Up front, Tanton Woldridge leading a bunch of laps here in the late going. Lap 193 in the books, 58 to go that time by Josh Langell, still there in second. A little bit further on back to Ben Ryan after that slip up in the 218. He's trying to close that gap right on back. He's got Nick Pothier right behind him, and Dylan Black in the 08 car. New paint scheme for the 08 car. He's up in the top 5.
Again, as you said earlier, for the drivers, it is a war of attrition, but for us and the audience watching here on VidaneTV, this is a war of patience and mystery, because what we have right here, if we can make it all the way till the end with this, then it's like, does Woolridge hang on, or does Langell show maybe a bit of impatience and try to go for, maybe a good old bump and run or something like that? Maybe does Ben Ryan or Nick Pothier steal one? Could Dylan Black, all the way back behind those 2 lap cars in 5th place, somehow steal the TCM All-Star Showcase? Or if we get multiple cautions, whatever it may be, how is that going to change the game and cause everybody to kind of flip-flop back and forth and, get back to double file action?
And how much of that bumper do you use? We've seen race officials here in Tim's Corner Motorsports special events. They've dropped that banhammer a time or two after the checkered flag for racing incidences that weren't very nice. So it's going to be one thing, I think, if we get a bump and run, you don't really want to dump the guy in front of him. I'm not saying that's what we'll see up front here, because we've seen some great racing all race long. But I think once these 4 drivers, they're saving just a little bit here, but we're getting real close to 50 laps to go. I think it's time to burn the other end of the candle.
Oh boy, we hit a lap car back there in turn 4, get real loose. That was that's Brandon Campbell, actually. He is 8 laps down, so it looks like he might be out of the running here for the win here tonight and the championship as well. And Byron's now looking too great right there as well. I mean, he's only a lap down, so again, if we were to get a caution, he'd be that first car a lap down, and he would be in the lucky dog position. So still time to see if something can happen. A bit of a miracle could be pulled off for him as Tan Woolridge continues to dominate the late stages of tonight's event.
You can see the 18 kind of a early apex or late apex there, really able to close that gap coming off the corner to the 56, but the Tanton Woolridge ride just able to drive off into the corners, crossing the stripe there. 49 laps to go. The 18 is there. He's just waiting for Tanton to make a mistake. I don't know if Tanton will make a mistake, though. It's going to be something to say. Well, I shouldn't say that.
Boy.
Yellow flag. Oh, boy. Well, it wasn't Tanton, so that's good.
Yep, that is all that matters.
See if we can back up the tapes here and find out what.
Oh, boy.
Would you find?
Oh, boy.
That doesn't sound good.
I've got. That's all I've got.
Backing up the tapes. Might have backed it up a little bit too far.
You might be okay about that point.
It's a little shenaniganry between the championship contenders, it appears. Oh, yeah. Brent Byron wanted to go play on the beach with Brandon Campbell, it looked like. So we made mention about the TCM Banhammer earlier on. It may very well be coming out.
You know, I was saying earlier about if he could get back, on the lead lap, be that lucky dog. I think the one point I didn't mention is as long as he doesn't get involved in and or cause an incident. That did not age well.
No, yeah, it's one of those. I think we're just going to close the last few laps out and crank it up because we've had about half a dozen commentary curses so far this evening.
Actually, yeah, it looks like actually he is going to get back on the lead lap. He's just going to be all the way back in 10th, unfortunately. So he is back. He is kind of back in contention, but he's going to have a lot of work to do to try and catch up to somebody with the likes of Tanton Woolridge and for championship-wise. And then for the race win, there's also him and then Josh Langell, Ben Ryan, Nathan Langel's still up there. They're in 4th place. JJ McPhee trying to put his name within the mix. Haven't talked about him a whole lot here tonight. Larry Pace, and then Dylan Black was in behind those lap cars for quite some time in 5th place. Now he's going to have a chance to run up with the cars that are on, the lead lap with him. So cars double filing up here as they cross the front stretch, assuming it'll be 1 to go this time by. Yes, it will be. So that would be 43 laps to go on the restart.
And as I was over here fiddling with the U-House Racing Designs instant replay button box thing, we missed pit stops. Everybody came down for 2 tires except for Dylan Black. He took 4. He's going to restart P7. So this is going to be interesting. It's going to be all driver here at this point. Tanton Woolridge down the bottom side. Langell in the 18 up on the high side. Green flag here at Oxford.
Yeah, great start for the 56 ahead of the 18 and the 218 back there in 2nd and 3rd. Not too far back, Nathan Langell, Larry Pace bottoming out the top 5. Woolridge leads yet another lap. And just another case here of kind of the top 3 or top 4 kind of stuck within a bit of a pack right there and hopefully not trying to make a mistake, whether it's getting hit from behind or hitting the car in front of you. It just kind of seems like maybe there is a bit of quote unquote respect. I don't know if that's the right term, but respect in trying to make it to the end within the final 10, 5 laps, whatever. Whenever they choose to try and get intense, that'll be the point then suddenly where it's like, okay, there's a big win on the line to wrap up the season. You gotta also remember too, for the guys behind Woolridge, that he's going for a championship. If anything happens to him, there could be some controversies at the end.
I feel like that whole situation, it's one of those words where they put a couple of words together, like coopetition that came out a couple years ago. There's something in there with respect and driving and looking for mistakes. The 18 kicking that door down. Oh, he popped back in line, though. Quick time, 15.667 with 39 laps to go by Nick Potier, still trying to make it up towards the front. Just taking a look at timing and scoring. Nick Potier back in 8th in that 4 ride. So he's got a little bit of time to make up, but he's gonna have a tall task getting to and then passing these front 3 drivers.
Again, he was running there in 4th for quite some time before we had that yellow flag between Brett Byron and Brandon Campbell. So a lot of these cars up front on the lead lap are relatively close together. You could argue it could be any one of them that could end up going to victory lane if things decide to get a little bit crazy here. Approaching 35 laps to go.
Ben Ryan really wants to get around that 18 car. He has been glued to the back bumper of Josh Langella. You can see lifted him off the ground just a little bit. He's doing everything he can to try and upset the 18 car, but he is on rails right now. All 3 of those drivers glued to the bottom of the racetrack. 34 laps to go that time by at the stripe, still chasing down Tanton Woldridge.
That's like a ticking time bomb watching these guys. Again, putting a blanket over them essentially. At any point, things could go awry. Approaching 30 laps to go. Still Tam Woolridge up front looking for that first win on the year and that TCM Special Events Championship.
Looking for some momentum, too, to carry on into that RBR Maritime group. He's going to be going for that championship here in a couple weeks as well. So Cream rising to the top, and man, oh man, that 218. He wants around that 18 car for second. You can see just right up to the back bumper. He has enough to get there. I don't know if he's going to have enough to get around him.
See a little bit more towards the back. Pothier finally got past JJ McPhee. That puts him into the 7th position. So that's 1 car down. Still plenty more to go. But you never know if there could be a surprise story there. I mean, again, back in the Jim Hallahan 333 at Bristol, we had Chris McKenna, create that storyline as Josh Langell decides to become a ghost for the 3rd time tonight.
That may very well be our story. Ree holding on to it.
Oh, man, contact between the 2 of them, almost leaning on each other. Langell got loose, and then Ryan, I believe, was hit from behind by Nathan Langell. So that sends Ryan to 2nd place. Woolridge a couple of car lengths ahead now because of what just happened there. A lot of close calls here up at the front of this field. Is that an omen for potentially what's to come?
I'll tell you, it's one of those deals that it wasn't directly related to that little bit of a connection blip from the 18 car, but man, oh man, the butterfly effect was real, because that's going to break your concentration at the very least. Those top 4 were glued together, bumper to bumper to bumper, all the way through the front 4 cars, and when you have one of them disappear for a quarter lap or a half a lap like that, it's really going to affect your psyche, and it showed there. Great heads-up driving by those guys. Good thing they got it pointed in the right direction. We stay clean. We stay green. We're down to 25 laps to go. No more mulligans. It's go time.
And now you saw there when that incident happened, or near incident, however you want to put it, Woolridge was able to get away. But now you're seeing these guys, Ben Ryan, Josh Langell, are actually starting to catch back up and get back within the mix. Langell looks like he's trying to, he wants to get that 2nd spot back. Right on the back bumper of Ryan. He gets him loose. Tries to dip down to the inside. Battle for 2nd place. That's going to cause Woolridge to probably start pulling away, though. You never know, though. Langell wants to get that spot back after getting loose and dropping in favor of Ben Ryan, who on the outside will drop him back. Is he going to give him back the bumper? Potentially. Doesn't look like it on this lap. Nathan Langell in the catbird seat. There's contact from behind. There goes Ryan down the backstretch. Caution.
23 laps to go. Going to bring out a late race caution. This is going to get crazy. We saw the 218 get a little bit of a bump ski there. I don't think we're done with that incident, as that engine sounded a little bit hot. We'll take a look at it once again here on the U-House Racing Designs instant replay. Might have backed that up just a little bit too far, potentially. Still working out the kinks here on the button. Nope, there we go. There's the bump and the shove on around down on the inside. Barely missing the anthill down there. That could have been catastrophic for their efforts, but going to rejoin the field, still on the lead lap, so that's good news, but going to come down, maybe put some tires on that number 218 car. May as well. You're going to have to restart 8th, it looks like, with the 9 cars on the lead lap.
I said ticking time bomb earlier, and it finally exploded.
Big bada boom.
And that's going to be at a disadvantage with obviously Ben Ryan falling back because of that. That's going to be a disadvantage to a Nathan Langell, who was in the running for the win. It's going to be Woolridge and Langell still, or Josh Langell specifically, up front. Larry Pace is going to get himself onto the, at the moment, the preliminary third place position, bottom end of the race and podium. And then Dylan Black and Nick Pothier might very well be back in contention for the win in the 6th annual TCM All-Star Showcase. Approaching 19 laps to go, assuming around 18, 17 maybe when we finally do go back green.
Here's a cool little stat. 2 biggest mover of the race, 2 guys up front. Tanton Woolridge up 13, Josh Langell up 9. How about that? Rising to the top here at Oxford.
Incredible hard charger sequences out of those guys as the pace car lights are off. We're going to be going back green with 18 laps to go in the TCM All-Star Showcase. Woolridge with the jump, green flag.
Langell doing everything he can to get down on the bottom side of the racetrack. Front 2 able to pull away. Larry Pace, new 3rd place driver in that number 50 car. Mentioned his name a couple of times tonight. Nick Pothier still up in the top 5. Dylan Black breaking in to the top 5 with that new paint scheme in the 08 car, running 5th.
Langell got loose there off of turn number 2 on the previous lap, still going just fine. Right on the back end of the 56, Tanton Woolridge, he is eventually going to want to go for that victory here. He gets in the back of Woolridge, gets him loose, but the 56 hangs on.
But for how much longer? How many more attacks are we going to see from the 18 to the back bumper of the 56? These guys have been clean and green all race long, but with 15 laps to go, the gloves are off. These drivers fighting for a win, fighting for a championship, fighting for bragging rights, heading on in to the iRacing off season, as it were. A little side-by-side action for 3rd. They're still bumper to bumper for 2nd.
As the top 2 continue to remain in those 2 positions doing their thing. Look at this. Ben Ryan back up to 3rd place after that incident there with Nathan Langell. This top 3 group, we've recognized them all night long. They're back at it and ready to battle for the win.
It's almost like a handful of DEI cars back in the day racing around Daytona, because the 3 of them get hooked up, they pull away. Not that drafting does much here at Oxford Plains here in the late models, but man, oh man, those guys putting on a clinic here at Oxford Plains. Tanton Woolridge still holding on to the lead. 12 laps to go. That 2:18 of Ben Ryan taking a peek down low. He wants to kick that door open for 2nd place. Looks like he might have gotten a little bump. He got a little too hot. Lost the back end of the car. Had to check up just a little bit, but he's back on the attack once again in that 2:18.
Some outstanding racecraft from these top drivers here in the TCM All-Star Showcase. 11 laps to go. We're going to be coming to 10 this time by. It could be any one of these guys. Tanton Woolridge, Josh Langell, Ben Ryan. All 3 of them, I believe, are looking for their first win on the season for TCM Special Events. Wow, the top 2 slid up there going into turn 1. That's going to help Woolridge get further away just a little bit, but they hang on firm.
2:18 took a peek on the high side. Looked like he was just trying to fake out. Langell going to boot the door down once again. Had to check up hard. Not quite enough room to get down in there. Josh Langell going to hold on to 2nd for the time being. 8 laps to go once they get to the stripe. You can see Tanton Woolridge able to pull away by about 0.3 of a second. That 18 car of Langell is all over the place trying to block.
But Langell and Ryan are not ready to give up just yet. They'll be coming to 7 laps to go this time by. It's never over till it's over, especially if we get a late race caution, if we just so do happen to. But again, the racecraft of these guys has been phenomenal here, especially coming off of that recent restart. Woolridge is right there pioneering the field as per usual, but again, it's not over yet for the 18 or the 2:18.
Just happened to glance on over to the Wingnut Productions timing and scoring. Ben Ryan came down 15 laps ago and got 2 tires. Everybody else was down pit road 41, 42 laps ago that time across the stripe. So a little bit fresher rubber on the right sides of the 2:18, and he is putting it to work, trying to make something happen on the high side. Does he have enough time? High five from
back. Braden Langell gets turned off of turn number 2. Caution is out. 5 laps to go.
Oh, they're not done wrecking.
Oh boy.
That appeared to be a fist bump with a race car. We'll follow that. It looks like they got it out of their system. But we'll back that up, take a peek at it. There you can see it's the black and orange car, or black and purple car, and the orange and white car that just moved in to the top 5. And you can see just down and around, a little bit of an extra. Tried to straighten them out there, it looks like. And succeeds, but looks like they might have been waving back and forth. 54 didn't really appreciate the effort, so they went down into the grass and started playing Tonka trucks with the hill.
Well, I guess the commentator's jinx did kind of happen there. I was like, if we get that late race caution.
And we did. That's going to put the 52 is going to gain. They just got the free pass, so they're going to get back on the lead lap. So it's going to give us 9 cars, it looks like, on the lead lap, which realistically tells us there's 9 drivers that could win this race. It's just going to be a long shot because these top 3 are hooked up. Tanton Woldridge, Josh Langell, and Ben Ryan putting on an absolute clinic here at the virtual Oxford Plains Speedway. Between the 3 of them, I don't think we've had anybody else that's led any laps.
And not that I can personally recall throughout these almost 250 laps here at Oxford Plains Speedway. We are going to go to a green-white checkered 2 laps to go. Tanton Woldridge and Josh Langell on the front row. That's going to be at a disadvantage for the 18, but that's going to put Ben Ryan on the inside. That could give him a perfect opportunity here to go for the win against Woldridge. We've seen the 56 have some outstanding restarts, getting some great jumps over Langell. This is the restart where he cannot mess up. He needs to have a perfect jump and be able to hang on in front of everybody else.
Pace car going to make that hard left-hand turn to the safety of pit road for what could be the final time. Pick your favorite flavor. Popsicle sticks are in the air. 2 laps to go. Here at Oxford Plains, Tanton Woldridge gets down. He gets bumped. He gets bumped by Langell. He gets straightened back out. We stay green. The 18 going to hold on to it. Regan, take us home.
Oh, trouble in back. The 54 almost gets spun. White flag in the air for Josh Langell versus Ben Ryan for the win. Ryan gets into Langell. Langell tries to save it. He gets into Woolridge. And they're going to get wrecking towards the back. It's going to be Ben Ryan ahead of the rest of the field. Checkered flag in the air. He wins the TCM All-Star Showcase at Oxford Plains.
Tanton Woldridge is upside down. How about Dylan Black? New paint scheme and all. He's going to finish in second. Braden Langell going to come home in third. What a wild finish to a great race here this evening. My goodness, these drivers in the TCM League did not disappoint.
I said earlier, controversies at the end. Well, there you go.
Now, controversies create cash in most worlds.
Oh, no.
Big bada boom indeed.
Yeah, I said controversies. There's certainly some unhappy drivers, but again, it's the final race of the TCM Special Events season. Oxford Plains Speedway, 250 laps, the All-Star Showcase. You want to end off the season at the top of the storylines as that final race winner, and Ben Ryan was able to get the job done. And because of all that, Tanton Woldridge finishing in, Josh Langell finishing 6th, last car on the lead lap, and then Tanton Woldridge finishing 7th, and as you said, upside down to conclude the race. But that's still going to give him the championship nonetheless. He still finished ahead of Brett Byron there in 9th place, 2 laps down. Brandon Campbell finished all the way back in 12th place, 8 laps down. Dylan Black and Braden Langell rounding out your podium positions. Again, as I said earlier, Dylan Black was caught in behind those 2 lap cars there trying to get into the top 5, and then the final couple of restarts, he was able to make his way up and still be within the mix finally with the lead lap cars. And what do you know, with all that carnage at the end, he was able to take advantage of a runner-up finish to conclude the season. JJ McPhee, Nick Pothier end up finishing inside the top 5. Josh Langell, Woolridge, Riley Frost, Byron, and Nathan Langell, as I said, rounding out the top 10.
And there you can see the 50 car made it all the way up into the top 10 at one point. Going to finish in 11th. Brandon Campbell having a rough day in the 99 car and the 8 car here this evening, finishing in 12th. Jonathan Platt going to finish in 13th. Dave Horton 14th. Ryan Messer, connection issues early on. He's going to be scored 15th. Mike Rhino, Jared Slonwhite, and Noel Fougier are going to round out the 18 car field here. And Tim, before we talk to anybody, we just kind of wanted to make sure that was all official. That was one heck of a finish.
Yeah, so we we had the lucky Gage Gilby was with us too. So Gage is a race car driver. Gage somewhat understands. We looked at it. The 218 and the 56, or the 218 and the 18 wasn't going to be a caution. The only questionable move we had was the 08. We deemed the 08 got pushed into the 1856 by the 54. We deem that as fair game. So your top three are your top three. As much as it's Oxford. It's a green, white checker finish. I know it sucks for Tanton, but Tanton is unofficially our champion, and we will roll with that. Ben's trying to get Discord all figured out here, so we'll have our winner hopefully in a bit. But you have Dylan Black and Tanton Woolridge to start.
Indeed, we do. And Regan, it looks like you've caught up with the second place driver, Dylan Black. Where did he come from?
Exactly. Where did you come from, Dylan Black? I said earlier, there was that stage late in the race where you were caught in behind those lap cars. You wanted to take advantage of them, but I said, if a caution comes out, then you'll be able to get back with those lead lap cars. You eventually end up having that go in your favor with those late race cautions, and then the carnage between Woolridge, Ben Ryan, and Josh Langell. It helps you to come home with a second place finish to round out the night. Were you at all expecting it to go, that way and in your favor there at the end?
I knew it was going to get hectic at some point, but didn't realize it was going to get that crazy. No, it was a pretty good race all night. Congrats to Tanton on the championship, I believe, and top three. Yeah, we'll take it.
And for 250 laps here at Oxford Plains Speedway to round out the TCM Special Events season, going into this race, knowing, again, 250 laps, Oxford Plains Speedway, the potential long runs with the tire wear, the effects that would do on the car, and just everybody's racecraft and such. Did all this, how tonight ended up going, really fulfill your expectations? Were you kind of going in a little bit different? Like, how did it all play out from start to finish?
I didn't really have any expectations on it. I just kind of wanted to run my own race, and whatever happened, and we fared out pretty decent.
Good to hear. To wrap this up, who do you want to thank for being able to come on out onto the virtual sim racing track and get the job done?
I got to thank my buddy Gump for watching. I think my old man watches this. Schooner General Contracting, Shady Brook Enterprise, Porter's Lake Septic, DTM Trucking, Tim Terry for putting on this great series. Paul Vidane and all you guys that do the race control, and yeah, it really goes pretty smooth.
Yep, that's the 08 to Dylan Black finishing in second place in tonight's TCM All-Star Showcase. Congrats. And Paul, who do we got next?
Going to slide on over to Victory Lane, caught up with Ben Ryan in the 218 car. I think we've got it caught up. Yeah, there we go. We got it all caught up with the race winner. That 218 car was on rails all night long. Ben, talk to us about that final restart. Great run up to the front. Might be an unmute button or a push to talk button.
Silence is stronger than words, potentially.
Potentially, sometimes. We know he's excited. We're just trying to get the old wireless headset plugged in, because that's how we get down. We'll see if we can catch up with our third place driver in the meantime, though. Braden Langell, crazy restart towards the end. What did you see from the windshield of that 026 car?
Honestly, I was just riding around, happy to be near the front at the end, running fifth there, and the East kind of parted it. Tan went one way and Josh Langell went the other, and I put it in the middle, and hoped that the hole was going to be there when I got to it, and it was, and there was a close race at the end with Dylan Black for second. So all in all, a good night of racing.
Yeah, the old days, the Thunder adage, going where the wreck was, and it was gone. So able to come home with a podium finish here tonight. Who gets you to and from the racetrack in that black and purple 54 car?
Well, my virtual car is obviously my computer and the screen and all that good stuff. But the partners on our real race car stuff would be Culture and Clear Distillery, Velocity Machining and Welding, Tektronix Machine Works, obviously a family friends. They're all a big part of racing. Thanks for Tim for obviously putting on all these shows. I know it's a lot of behind the scenes work for all of us motorheads to do some racing all winter. So I really appreciate that, and it was fun doing the 11 or 12 races. Get back to the seat.
Always a lot of fun to cover it here on VidaneTV as well. And as we're just kind of taking a look at the replay, there's a lot of damaged race cars here. We'll kick it back over to Victory Lane. Riggs, maybe you'll have better luck with our winner here tonight.
All righty, Ben and Ryan, do we finally have you?
You do have me this time.
Yes, sir. Your winner of the TCM All-Star Showcase to wrap up the 24-25 TCM Special Events season. Ben, that final restart, absolute chaos there, and you're able to take advantage there over Tan Woolridge and Josh Langell wrecking him back along with the rest of the field in behind you there. Just take us through that final restart and how you ended up being the one to go to victory lane out of all three of you guys who were there at the end. And quite frankly, consistently throughout the race, it was you guys duking it out, pretty much putting, like, we could put a blanket over each and every one of you.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the mid part of the race there, I got into the 18 pretty hard when Josh's brother got into the back of me. So I'm guessing that he was a little upset about that to begin with because it was pretty aggressive. But then later on in the race there, when I seen him and Tanton going at it there on that green-white checkered, I just figured the gloves were off at that point, so I was just going to go for it.
And, you know, throughout the entire 250-lap race here at Oxford Plains Speedway with a bunch of different factors at play, from tire wear to the marbles, and there were a bunch of stuff that you dealt with throughout, earlier in the race before all this carnage happened here towards the end. How were you able to, have that mental toughness and that resilience to come back and be able to get the job done?
Well, in the first portion of the race, I kind of used it up a bit out front because I was trying to control the pace a bit. But then once I realized what I was doing, I was just kind of following the pace once I got back there in third. And then once I got turned around there, I just thought, well, why not throw a set of rights on it and see if I can drive back to the front? And it worked out.
Awesome stuff. And supposed to wrap this up, who gets the thanks for being able to get you to and from the virtual sim race and track in that number 218 super late model?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everyone, really. I mean, I've been spending a lot of time on it. I've only had it for about a year, and I'm getting better and better at it, but it's just nice to actually get a win in this series because I've been watching it for a while.
Absolutely great to have you here in victory lane for the first time in TCM special events to wrap up this 24-25 season. Once again, congratulations on winning the TCM All-Star Showcase, and go celebrate however you do.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for Tim for putting on these events. It's great.
Back to Paul.
And Tim, we started the season. We said we were going to put on a show, and what a heck of a show we put on. 13 races in the books, and we talked about potentially maybe doing a one-off down the road, but I think that's going to put a cap in the 2024-25 season, and now we look forward to some real racing.
Yeah, anything that comes with a quote-unquote season is done for us. We may do something late March, early April, depending on where the real racing stuff ends up falling. Paul, your schedule, my schedule, everybody else. But that's it for us for the season. Thank you to everybody that came out. I think we had 105 or 106 drivers that took part in one of the 13 races. So great season. Had some fun. We'll roll on to the next one. By the way, Tanton Woolridge, I think... He was here and then he's not. So he is our champion this season. It's about 20 points or so over the 99, and Brett Biron was third in points. So congratulations to them. We move on to real world stuff. Our next show comes up tomorrow night. It's Tim's Corner Live, featuring special announcement from Chris Hughes and what he's doing this season with the 32 car. We got JJ Cusack and Randy McTavish going to join us on the back end of the show. So it should be a fun show tomorrow night. Tim's Corner on Facebook. Head over there. Check them out. Paul, you've got, I know your schedule's ramping up just like mine, but you got a couple of more sim racing events before we really get busy in Florida.
Indeed we do, and it's crazy to think we're going to be in Florida. It's going to be nice and warm here in just a couple of weeks' time. Really looking forward to that. Hopefully they get the heater in the pool on, because that was a cold $20 I had to earn last year. But in any sense, tomorrow night on VidaneTV, the Turn 4 Podcast Winter iRacing Series coming at us Thursday night. The NEP Super Truck Series Road Course Racing. That's going to be a lot of fun. As we may have mentioned earlier on tonight, those cats getting ready to run about a half a dozen, maybe 8 cars in the Daytona 24 hours with the iRacing this weekend. If I'm not in Charlotte, we may do something on VidaneTV, so keep an eye on the socials. We're live all over the place as well. So from everybody from Tim's Corner Motorsports, everybody at VidaneTV from Oxford Plains, we'll catch you on the flip side. And when we do, we are going to be doing it live.